So, um, the second Viking He-Man came in. Remember when I said that I was looking forward to actually having two of these and that was not a normal thing for me, but I would actually have two? I kind of hit my mic there. I would have two, and the reason was because I wanted to have both display options. I now have both display options. And yet it brings up the argument that we've had before about buying online and buying physically in person. And I think it's worth discussing. So yeah, second He-Man came in. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It got here fast. It wasn't that big of a deal. Of course, you're on Amazon. You don't have to look for things. You just click the button. There it was. We're done. There it was. It was that simple, that easy. And as it should be, right? Click the button. It says it's on the way. It comes, and we're all happy. We're all happy because it got here in like a day. And I was like, hey, I can't beat that, right? So I have both options now. Now, let's get some positivity in here right off the bat before we go into this. This is the Viking He-Man, which I like a lot. I mean, I really like this. I do. I love it. And then, this is the second display option, which is actually just as cool as I thought it would be. But couple of issues with this one as opposed to this one. This one came in really good condition and I'm really happy with it. Couple of issues here. One, I'm going to try to show this on this camera and I think I can, but we'll see how that goes. His boot has a massive imperfection. In fact, you can see it. You can see it even on this camera. Look at that. Look at that right there. That's a problem. And that is not the only place where there was a pretty big imperfection. There's another imperfection right along his belt, which is not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's there. And this one's a little tougher to showcase, but it's right here. See where there's a chip missing from the belt? Both of these are issues. They're not super huge breaking issues or anything like that. He will display just fine. I have both He-Man, Mans, He-Minses, He-Dudes. I got them both. I got a classic looking, really cool, modernized He-Man, which I like a lot. I mean, I really like this. I do. I really like this design. This is kind of what I wish He-Man would have been when I was growing up and had he still been around for me to, like, get into. Because one of the reasons that we've discussed that I didn't get into Motu until very, very, very down the road was because I remember seeing things from the 80s cartoon in passing and not having the right mentality. Because for me, now, He-Man is very enjoyable. And I also am including the show that, if you remember right, in a previous episode, I talked about what got me into He-Man and all that. And if you're new to this channel, there's a Motu video, and I will put it up there so you can check it out. It talks specifically about why I wasn't into the product, and when I got into the product, what I was into and what I wasn't into. And I did call out the show and say that it's too goofy, it's not for me. Ironically enough, I went and finally gave the whole thing a chance, and I bought the entirety of He-Man. I bought it all. I was like, I need all of it. So I bought the entire series and 2 of the movies, and was like, there we go. I'm invested now. I'm going to see what it's like. And the reason I did this was because if you'd have talked to me, say maybe 15 years ago, because we all change. We grow up and we understand things and we get into different cinemas and we kind of evolve, and our tastes and everything evolve with us. We grow up and things about us change, and sometimes they change dramatically. And I was the kind of person that didn't like that Batman 66 was this aggressively ridiculous, stupid thing. But now, today, that's different. I like it a lot. I think it's fantastic, and I see the joke, and I realize that's what they were going for. It is a bat comedy, and I enjoy it for that. I really do. I enjoy it a lot. Now, going back and seeing He-Man with a different level of context, I'm enjoying that series a lot. Like, I'm liking a lot of episodes. I'm liking the ones that are super serious. I'm liking the ones that are super goofy. I'm liking the things that I originally didn't like. I'm loving every episode. It's new, it's fun, it's ridiculous, it's a good time waster. I'm just really, really loving the fact that they're telling swords and sorcery tales, toned down for the most part for kids. So like there's a lot of things that they won't allow them to do, but there's little things that I'm getting behind that I don't think I would have fully appreciated back when I was a kid or even 15 years ago, where like they shoot lasers and stuff at him, or they shoot a gun at him and he takes the sword and he's like ting ting, and that's like very much a Luke Skywalker thing. It's like a Jedi thing. So like, why would I have not been into that? Of course I would have. I like it with Luke Skywalker. Is there a reason that if I'm to believe that he like holds the power of the universe, he's like the strongest man, most physically, we're talking physically and fast, because he is ridiculously fast too. There's episodes where he runs and he's just like booking it like hardcore, because with all that muscle, every time he pushes off the ground, you imagine it would be like the Incredible Hulk. He'd just be running doom, 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 right? So if his reflexes and everything are enhanced along with all the powers he was given, why couldn't he just block with the sword? I see no problem. The logic loop is not broken for me, so I'm having a good time watching it. There's little things that I would never have justified, and there are still things that I will not justify, but I will look at them in a very different light as an adult, and I will laugh about the fact that I'm like, how did he do that? Like, very recently, I was watching this episode where there's like a big storm happening, right? And he takes his sword and he plunges it into the ground. And he goes in a circle. He like runs in a big circle. Then he grabs the ground. And he lifts up the entire ground. It flips like a coin inside of a peg hole where the coin is just big enough to not fall into the hole. And now it's like a big standing thing. And the storm clouds hit it and like get pushed under the ground. And then he like flips it back down and turns it back into solid ground. And I'm like, what just happened? Like, and I laughed. I just had fun with it. I was like, that is so ridiculous. I can't even complain about the level of ridiculousness that I just seen. And now I'm on board. I'm on board because I'm just like, okay, what else you got? What other ridiculous else do you got? It's fun. Stupid fun. So, I'm enjoying myself quite a bit getting into all this stuff. And that's important to me right now. It's very important to me right now, more so important to me right now that I simply have fun than almost anything else. It is. It just is. It's a major change point in my life right now that I'm purposely kind of stepping into a spot where I want to do the things I want to do, and I want to have fun, and I don't want to be continually, it's just the way it is. If I don't want to do a thing, I'm not going to do a thing. Period. And if I do want to do a thing, I'm going to go out of my way to find a way to do a thing. And I'm not going to be put off by the gatekeeping mentality and the continual negativity that I see towards certain things. I'm done. I'm done. I stepped away from a lot of it. I killed a lot of my FOMO routine and things like that where I need things. And so, but this has been really good for me because I'm just having dumb fun. And you've seen it with things like Dumbface Skeletor. I love Dumbface Skeletor. Look at his face. Look. He's so dumb. He's so awesome. I love him. He literally sits on my desk. He's one of the figures that sits on my desk because he's so fantastic. These two are fantastic. And I picked him up. And a second one takes us to our main topic tonight. Comparison of buying it in person and online. Online, I was given a stock photo, and you know that's what those are. They do not take a photo of the product that you are about to buy. They take a photo of the stock image. They give that to you. Now, I showed you the figure. This one is fine. And if I'd have been picking him out of a stack of figures, chances are this is the one I would have got. He's solid. He's fine. I don't see a lot of problems with him. Smallest piece of paint right there on his boot. Little itty-bitty things that I could complain about. But overall, fantastic. Fantastic. This guy, I would have been able to notice his belt, and I would have been able to notice his boot before I bought him. And I would have been able to notice something else that was really big. And I wish I had realized this before I opened him. I kind of got screwed. See, I opened him, and here's this, right? He came with his head, 2 hands. There's the shoulder pads that came off of the brace. Here's his really cool master sword, the Sword of He. Here's his boot knife. Everything's adding up, right? Everything's looking great. And that's it. The second head. That's it. You notice what's missing? Not only was this guy like scuffed and battered compared to the other He-Man that I bought, he didn't get an axe. Now, because of the way that I've already decided to display him, I don't need the axe. Luckily, this is the He-Man that is going to be displayed as a more classic variant He-Man, and he looks fantastic. I do. I really like him. I like his face here. I think he looks absolutely great. If we were on the other cameras or whatever, I'd splice in some stuff. But since this is a talking head video, specifically what this one's supposed to be is to talk about this issue, I'm not going to switch to that camera. But he looks great. He looks great. So I can't stress enough, like what I told you, I'm really trying to look at what I got here positively. He's going to go on the shelf, and not many people are going to call that out on me. A couple people might notice his boot, and maybe to your collection, maybe that's inexcusable. But that does bring up what we're about to talk about. I got this online, and as you can see, that box is empty. I was so concerned after I realized it, because I was excited. I got him. I took off the top, opened him, pulled the stuff out, popped him out of the thing, cut him off the tabs, started putting him together, right? And then, as soon as I did that, I got him into this state, and I was like, cool. And then I started being like, where's his axe? And I realized I didn't have it. Yeah, no axe. I had to pause it. There was a lot of vacuuming downstairs and whatnot. But regardless, no axe. And it was something that I didn't realize because when I picked him up, I just saw that it was Viking He-Man, saw the figure, didn't see the inaccuracies yet, and said, wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I got him, cool. We were getting ready to play a game, me and my daughter, so I just kind of unpacked him real quick, put him together, and said, sweet. And then started looking, because I was going to see if maybe his axe fit his back, like I do with the other He-Man. With the other He-Man, the more retro Origins. I have a lot of the Origins He-Mans. And I like to, if he's holding the power sword, I like to put the axe back there. And also, on all the pictures, and it really got me wondering and concerned, he seems to have the shield in these images. I don't think that's a real thing. Maybe it's supposed to be, and if it is, I haven't seen him come with the shield yet. And I've got 2 of them. But this is what I'm getting at. The problem with buying it physically, if I'd have been in a store and I'd have picked him up, I would have compared him to 3 or 4 others that were sitting around. This is part of being a collector, right? We know this. As an adult collector, we will pick up the one figure that we really want. And if there's 3 or 4 of them there, we'll look through them. We'll say, who has the best face sculpt, if that's the most important thing to us. And with me, I really do like the face sculpts. I don't like their eyes to be messed up or something like that. The face sculpt is very important to me, personally, as a collector. If the face sculpt looks off, and the others all look off, then maybe I know that they're supposed to look like that. If there's the one and his eye is messed up, I don't buy that one. That's just the way I am. I'm not very good at painting. I'm not going to repaint, and because I'm not going to repaint, I have to take what I can get best out of the box. And if the box is important to me, like these are important to me. I love these boxes. We've talked about these boxes. Then I will go through, and sometimes I'll find the 2 or 3 that I think are really solid. And then, as if my wife cares, as if my wife cares, but I force her to kind of be a part of this little equation, I will take it to her, the 2 or 3 that I like, and I'll hand it to her, and I'll say, what one has the best color? Why do I do this? I'm red-green deficient. I have color problems. And so I'll look at them, and sometimes I think that I'm seeing something, and sometimes I'll have to purposely verify it with her to guarantee that that's what I'm seeing. I'll say, because I feel like this one has the better paint job, but that could just be the way I'm looking at it, and then she'll look at them and she'll kind of be like, no, you're right, this one. Or she'll be like, well, take a look at this one again. And then I'll kind of glance through it, and most of the time that works. Now, had I had that option as a physical buyer, this wouldn't have happened. I would have noticed the screw up on the boot first. As soon as I compared him to another one sitting on the shelf, I'd have noticed he had no axe. It's a problem. And I'd have been like, okay, no axe, messed up boot. Unless you have an absolute perfect box, and that's what I'm going for, you're done. You've lost. You're out. But if you order an item from a warehouse, which is most of what you're doing, and a person, because I've done this job, not exactly this, but I work for a warehouse, okay? I've worked for a warehouse for a long time now, about almost 13, 14 years. I've been in warehouse, and actually longer than that, because I've done warehouse work since before I got to the warehouse I'm in right now. Just a little thing comes up on a screen, it goes, and it's like, hey, go get this thing. And I drive down there, and there's 30 of those things, and I pick the thing up, and as long as the box isn't beat up, that's it. Brap. Now, there's no collector quality check system in place here. There's nobody that's like over there like making sure they grab the best figure for you. They don't care. They're underpaid, overworked, it's probably stupid hot, and truth of the matter is there's some robot waiting to take their job away from them. Or just some other person. They don't care. They don't. They're not paid enough to care. And they don't get any kind of bonus for picking things quickly or anything like that. That's also ridiculous. That's not true. So when you put these people in a situation like that, and then a person like me is like, get me a He-Man. Give me one. I need it. They're not walking over there, picking up 2 or 3 of these boxes and saying, hey, this one's like missing a part. Like that thing isn't there. And then even if they were to say that, their boss would probably be like, it probably like fell down on the bottom, whatever. Are they wrong for being that way? I mean, you could argue, but I could argue back that I've worked in that atmosphere before, and when it's 98 degrees outside, making it almost 105, if not worse, inside that building, and you're walking around pushing a giant cart, and there's 70 orders on your tab screen, and you are timed by every single order that you pick, and if you slow down for any reason, somebody's going to come at you and be like, hey man, why'd you slow down for like 4 minutes on so-and-so? And which, yes, sometimes they can be that ridiculous depending on your boss. If you slow down for like 10 minutes and compare product, and then I had this in one of my bosses, they pulled me in a room and they stopped me for a minute and they were doing the evaluations, and the guy started saying, so I noticed that I noticed that in the aisles, you're lightning fast, man. You're driving down, you're finding the part, you're picking it, you're putting it right back, you're doing all your stuff. That's perfect, man. I'm really glad about that. But I noticed that when you go to pack out, you seem to be moving a little slower. And I really like you to pick up that speed. And I'm like, well, you can't have both. I can't do quality and speed at the same time. One eventually outdoes the other. You're fast, but now you're McDonald's. You're slow, but you're very slow, and you're a delicate restaurant. You're in the middle, you're the local diner. It's fast enough that you don't mind going there, but bland enough that you're not exactly excited to go there all the time. The other place, you're kind of excited to eat there. But it's, you're going to sit there for like an hour and a half and wait. McDonald's, you're not exactly excited at all. But you got to eat. Cheeseburger's a cheeseburger. You see the big difference here? But you explain that, and they say, you got to pick up your speed. Doesn't matter. So what did I do? I got faster. And yes, I can promise you that some of the stuff that I sent out was not as good as some of the stuff that I had sent out prior. Because I was all about taking my time, making sure the banding was right, putting on the corners and everything. I did my job. But when you work in these situations, you don't care as much about the quality control as you used to as time goes on. And this is a problem with online shopping, is you, the customer, cannot verify the product on the store shelf and guarantee the one that you're going to get. And with stuff like this, every figure, and we know this, as collectors, we know this, every figure is unique. Every figure has a different soul. And I'm serious about that. You look at these figures and you don't think anything of it unless you're like an adult collector that really looks at this stuff. His hair is not the same if I were to pull the other head out of stock right now and look it over. Either this head or the other head is better. In fact, remember when I reviewed Viking Skeletor and Viking He-Man and Barbarian Skeletor, I'd mentioned that one of the reasons I really want to display classic Skeletor is because I love the way he looks. He might be my favorite Skeletor that I own so far, but I don't want to lose Barbarian Skeletor. And the choice I made to put Viking first or put Barbarian on the shelf first came down to a very specific small little piece. There was a tiny imperfection on his hood right here. And it was enough that literally nobody could see it. If you were looking at my shelf right now, you wouldn't be able to look over there and see it. You couldn't do it. But I can do it. I can look right at it every time and show you exactly where that little spot is that bothers me. So I'm trying my luck with the second one, which be here maybe even as early as tomorrow. And if it gets here, I'm excited because I can make the classic Skeletor and put him on the shelf, and that's going to be awesome. But you always run a risk when you buy online because this material can come to you in who knows what state. I've gotten these boxes where they're like messed up, like completely unusable. I've gotten these boxes where they're fantastic. I've gotten figures like what we're talking about right now with imperfections. I've gotten figures where I have no reason to complain. And the thing about it is in the stores, in person, at a flea market, I have passed on things because I've looked at them and said, I'm not feeling it. It is an issue with online buying, that as online buying, especially with this brand, because this brand has made me an online purchaser. I have 2 or 3 Walmarts that I frequent. I check them every time I go, and I go almost 2-3 times a week Not something I'm very excited about, but that's how often I have to constantly go there because I eat a lot of whole foods, and that means I buy salad, and I don't buy salad in bulk because salad will go bad. So I buy like that little bag that lasts me 2-3 day trip. I eat salad about 2 days, and then that's it. I got to go get another bag. So I'm constantly making a trip there, and every time I go there, I will walk by the toy aisle and I will compare. And every time I go there, it's the same figures all the time, and none of the new ones seem to be showing up. I have 2 Targets that I frequent at least once a month. Both of them. And both of them have this habit of having the same stuff every time. Recently, I got Trapjaw. I like that Trapjaw. I'm very excited to open him soon. But I passed on a Beastman. The decision I made, I don't know if that's going to bite me if Beastman is rare enough for this to be a problem, but with my current run of luck at those Targets, it's always the same figures peg warming. So I have a high probability chance that I'm going to go back there and it's just going to be Beastman sitting there warming the peg. So I'm not exactly worried that I've lost him here. I'm going to get him. I'm crossing my fingers, I guess. And then, in all honesty, I could just get him offline and not even make the trip, because this lack of being able to find these figures has made me buy a lot of them online that I never would have done that before. And buying online, I've come across the problem that nobody is looking out for, is this the best paint job? Is this the best figure? Is this figure complete? They don't care. And I can't necessarily blame them. But if this is a reality of continually shopping online, is having the probability of this always happening to you, it is a viable concern. And it still makes the physical concept of finding it in the wild more pleasant than saving the $2-3. Because that's another thing too. If I found him and he was at the store, which I've never seen one of these out in the wild. I've never seen a Viking He-Man in the wild. Not even once. Not in any of the 10 different stores that I frequented. Not once. But they're online plentiful. Plentiful enough that they're constantly on sale for like 30% off, 40% off. And when I see it 40% off, I'm like, that's awesome. Click. And that's what he was. He was on sale. So I was like, sale? The exact He-Man I want? Click. Awesome. Wouldn't have been on sale. I know everybody's getting those crazy deals where they're finding them at Target and everything like that, but I'm not finding that. Toys sell very well in my area. I don't know why, but they do. And I think it's because we had a Toys R Us and we lost it. And that Toys R Us was a literal staple of our shopping area for years. And when it went away, it didn't go away because it did bad business. It went away because of all the stuff that was happening with the company in general. And when it went away, everybody spanned out to these Targets and Walmarts and whatnot and started buying toys. And we never see the kind of clearance deals that these other people seem to be finding, where they're finding like Castle Grayskulls for $24. Oh my God, I wish. In fact, more often than not, we find our material marked up. That's a real thing. There are some small stores which sell toys that you can go to, and almost every single time, especially in this area, they're always marked up. Like the Castle Grayskull in there is like $121. When I know it's not that. I know it's not that. I can get it on Amazon for like $80, and oftentimes it'll go on sale for less. So there's something to just clicking that button and have them send it to you. Because it is nice to save money, but it's also nice to have the ability to look through the figures and make a personal choice as to what you want to pick up, because I know it to normal people, that don't get it, that don't care, this is not a big deal. But to us, each one of these is a small piece of art. And each one of them has a different level of soul and care put into it. I realize these are just mass-produced, popped out of a machine. But somebody somewhere had to put a little bit of attention into this. And sometimes you can tell the difference between one and another, especially when they have imperfections like that. Like I said, there are points to both of these. Buying online can be way cheaper, it can be way more convenient, and you're almost guaranteed to find a product. But let us not pretend that it's perfect, because it is far from when you're talking about collection pieces. Something to think about. Later.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.